Good morning, everyone. This is the Vermont House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. It is Friday, April 17th, 2026 at 10:30 in the morning. So we're back from a short trip to the floor today, which was unanticipated. But we do have with us one of our legislative interns, Cabot. Good morning. Thank you for being able to switch your time so that you could come in at 10:30 instead of 9. So we appreciate your flexibility. And we're interested to hear what you found out this week.
Great. Good morning, Cabot Sales, legislative intern from UVM. Happy to go at any time of the day. I'm gonna just go over a couple bills from Senate Economic Development. Plus, again, it'll be pretty quick. H211 first, data brokers. Some takeaways from testimony this week. There was a big mix of support and some testimony supporting an amendment that would carve out insurance companies specifically from being subject to deletion provisions. And yeah, specifically there was some follow-up from Chair Clarkson, who requested information from the insurance companies regarding exactly what information they need to underwrite policies, which was the main argument, that we need information to be able to underwrite policies. So they're looking into what information might be essential to business and figuring out how to exempt only that.
So they're looking at like right now, I think if we passed it out, it was a user exemption. And now they're looking at a data exemption, I think maybe.
Yes, like specific data.
Yeah.
I thought what we did,
So we did use it.
well, use-based, which is specific data. Right? Like if you're talking about what specific data do you need, I thought that's what we did, but we'll see what they come.
Yeah, it's
I
would
think-
be an edgy use kind of thing too,
Yeah.
but focusing in on what they actually.
I think they're looking at.
Little broader.
We'll see.
There was also a concern from the Vermont Bankers Association that by deleting data, it might put certain individuals at risk to receiving financial services, because of how embedded data that is. And then there was testimony from Consumer Reports that was influential in the other direction, arguing that a lot of data broker information is very inaccurate. And noting that Vermont, with this bill, makes it regionally consistent with other bills that are going on, and that's how it ended, and that's very impactful there. The leaning is towards a possible exemption, similar to California's model, where states or when data is regulated by the FRCA, GLBA, or DPPA, then data is exempt from deletion provisions regardless of its use. And then H512 as well, event ticketing. There was pretty much large support for this, but there was specific pushback from Senator Chittenden, who had a number of things that he'd like to see in the bill, such as defining individual persons who sell less than a specific number of tickets. 10 was the example he gave, to be exempt from the price cap. Defining ticket resellers specifically to as sellers who buy tickets and sell them for profit, to differentiate them from individuals. We propose raising the price cap to 120%. And specify that the price cap applies to tickets at Vermont venues and not out of state venues. Also define marketplace fee restrictions as a percentage of the original price, and he just wants more specific language in there. And he also proposed a sunset of the price cap in 2030 to see this as a trial period. The one point that he made that got some support from Chair Clarkson was creating a Vermont specific venue language. So saying that if I buy a ticket, if I resell a ticket, the price cap only applies to Vermont venues. And if I'm in Vermont and I buy a ticket for a venue outside of Vermont, the price cap would apply there for reselling the ticket. And that's what, if there are any questions on this.
Is there any conversation about that lower ticket individuals only, or only 10 tickets or whatever it was, about how Ticketmaster, or what was the other, who
StubHub.
StubHub, thank you, how they are like eBay. So a person selling a ticket is just one person. So was there any conversation on that?
There wasn't, Senator Chittenden kind of laid out these requests at the end, so there wasn't the opportunity for much discussion there. But yeah, that's a,
I don't really, can I hear again, define the market-based fee restrictions as a percentage of original price?
So, yeah, I think that's just him saying all the fees included in buying the ticket is the original price.
Okay, so face value.
Yes, not face value, because that's been a reoccurring concern of Senator Clinton's, which is we want to make sure all the fees are included. Because what he continues to go back to is, when I buy a ticket, there's so many fees that charging 110%, I don't actually make my money back. So very specific that all fees are included in the original price.
I see. So I think you answered the question by saying that Senator Chittenden laid out these issues at the
Yes.
end of the session or the committee hearing. So maybe this is already answered. Any thought of asking some of legal folks about that distinction between in-state, out-of-state, and how that might figure out?
I think we're gonna see the actual language very soon
Right.
of what it looks like. But there was no time for discussion.
Yeah, and if I remember, the Attorney General weighed in on Bill. So I would expect
Yes,
they'll probably weigh in on whether that's a valid distinction in state, out of state.
yes, I will.
Questions for Cabot? Hey, thank you, Cabot.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work as always. Bailey submitted his report, so it's on our webpage.
Oh.
I'll take a look at it. Looks like he. It looks like he looked at the tier 3 and road rule regulation issues.
I should talk to him about my buffers.
Baby steps. Holly.
It might be a little minute.
The Barry buffer.
The Barry buffer position. The boot and buffer.
Everybody needs one.
Buffer amendment,
At least 25
BBA. I'll tell you. I get hot because it's my city.
You should go. You should talk to folks in the housing about it.
Give me 5 minutes to still calm down.
Okay. Any questions, committee? We were so efficient on the floor this morning, which was highly unanticipated. That, we really don't have anything the rest of the day.
Yes, we do.
Do we have?
Gardening.
You want to discuss gardening? You want to
Like
debate
that?
it?
No, I do
Come to
not
my
want to
house
debate it. I
and
want to
garden.
do it.
You can come to my house and garden for me. I would be grateful.
Would you pay him so it's some economic?
The right set.
Sure. Yes.
We'll sell tickets too. And if you can't
then
get one,
resell
we
them.
can get them on the secondary market.
That's right.
With a cat.
There's no cap right
No
now.
cap right
No
now.
cap right now.
We'll probably lose money on it though.
I'll pay you to take my ticket. Jesus.
Anything anyone wants to bring up on any of the bills that are standing? No. You and Kurt will work on the culinary piece, Jonathan and Dave. If there's anything that you heard, either one of you heard at the tourism that you want to include in. You know, I thought it was pretty interesting, especially what we heard from Brett. I knew Bob Newhart, the issues that he had, which I found kind of interesting. But he knew about Vita, but I don't know if he knew about Vita at the right time or not. And if he went to a bank outside of Vermont, he's probably not going to get information about what else is there. Sounds like he knew about Efficiency Vermont, but was it at the right time?
Yeah.
You know, before he did upgrades. You know, the issue with the fire marshal and understanding, but, you know, I think a lot of times, when you bring in, an electrician, so he was doing, you know, a big project. I think you bring in an electrician, a plumber, they're going to tell you, because they know the codes, whether or not, you know, everything is up to par, if you're gonna have to rewire the thing, so. Wondering how that came as a surprise to him.
That might be something, you know, having a company, if we were to follow up with Commissioner Jepson on that a little bit, just to see, the idea that maybe section 7 could have some, really ensure that what we're asking for would be looking at, some, that's part of the process. Here's a great example of a new business and encountering some things.
Right, yeah, and, you know, I guess the question there too is, like, how do we disseminate that information to the bankers, to Efficiency Vermont, to, you know, Small Business Development Center, making sure they all, the RDCs. So everybody has the information, so wherever a business might go. The only drawback is with banks or financial institutions that are outside the state, because I think our in Vermont institutions know about these things.
Maybe we'll trade some ideas over the weekend or something.
Yeah, and if you
Pick it up, $90
you can touch base with Kiera too, if you want to talk to Brett again.
Yeah.
You could get his information. I think he had a lot of information of what he went through. So how do we utilize that information to come up with the process that we'd like to see?
Get in touch with you.
Okay, so I think, you know, next week, good, with our. What our schedule looks like right now, I think we're gonna have to redo our agenda.
Yeah, 60 so.
Question about tobacco products.
Yep,
I know that we passed it out of our committee.
Yep.
I received a call yesterday from a constituent that she was concerned that we didn't go far enough on it, which, I mean,
on what piece?
she just said the bill that didn't go far enough, and she did mention the fees.
Okay, so I think you should mention that our purview in that bill was consumer protection. That's what we did, and now it's up to.
Yeah, and I did that. And I asked her to send me something, but if she hasn't done it yet, but if she does send me something, if it falls within our jurisdiction, are we able to like take a peek at it to decide whether or not we want to do something with it?
If it's part of,
Consumer protection.
if it's part of that section of the bill, yeah, but if it's not, I will give it to Teresa.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, and that's what I told her. I said, you know, it's kind of out of our committee now but I'll forward it on to the committees of jurisdiction when you send it. But I just wanted to check, are we allowed to tweak it after we have sent it?
Or
We can do anything we want, right?
legislature.
But doesn't want to get sent back to us with the amendments that they put on and then we do
Yeah.
straw poll?
Yeah.
Okay, so
internet is really slow.
I don't know why, because I had my email opened in my phone.
Or you want the.
Did you see that? Did you and Dave see that Linda Rossi sent in some suggestions?
Yes, it's
I
like
haven't
the
really read it, but.
day that we were meeting, there was another document that sort of refines some of her testimony.
Yeah, she just followed up from her verbal testimony with just some suggestions for the report. Is Ellen had sent some suggestions to that.
So on,
Linda's is on the.
yeah, I guess I'll do that because Abby won't be here.
Okay.
So on Tuesday, at 9, we're gonna take up 327. We're gonna have Jay Ramsey come in and talk about. He's gonna talk about the. Fees.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no, the apprenticeship is.
the pilot program.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So
Yeah.
the culinary.
The apprenticeship's in 173. So he can only be here for half an hour. But I think we may have. Either have. Think about this. We could have Cameron come in to go over the rest of the pennies. Made a few small changes and he's come up with. Price card. That we can put in the bill. Pricing,
To make it really clear
Yeah.
who's rounding and what
right,
it looks like.
something. What the businesses were used,
Sign.
the sign to provide notice, right? So we could have him do that then. We got 327 again in the afternoon, so I think. Anything that you can come up with to give to Rick by Monday would be helpful. If it's not, by Wednesday, we need to, I think we need to try to move that day Wednesday.
Pertain, I'm sorry, which bill?
327 economic development.
So, we won't vote on it on Tuesday, but we'll try to vote on it Wednesday afternoon. So if you can work on that, get stuff to them. We'll get it, as much of it ready. For 2 Wednesdays, we'll do that after the floor, Wednesday afternoon. So Wednesday morning, Edie and I will be meeting with Beth on Monday via Zoom. To try to straighten out the.
Tech ed.
Well, straighten out the rule stuff. The issue there, so we'll have a pre-draft done, have AOE working with Zach Ted and the superintendents, come up with that pre-draft. And then it'll go to the board for rulemaking.
As you're having this discussion, so it might be just me, but I was quite taken aback by the testimony of the board. And just thinking about my past lives, if an agency doesn't want to do something, it doesn't turn out well.
Well, so that construct was brought to us by AOE
I know.
in their first iteration using the ESSA. That was one thing that they had in there as well, was to do a pre-draft and get it to, so we're just gonna make sure that to.
I hear you, and that covers that sort of little
Yeah.
piece
Yeah.
of, as opposed to getting it done and then
Yeah.
running the bias, that's
So
fine.
I don't think we're gonna need to have them run it by us before they take it to Alcar.
Right, you just want to know, you just want to have some connection so that whatever is out there, you have some input, right? I'm thinking about the larger context. My sense is the board did not want to do this. And there were a number of different reasons. And I'm just worried, like I said, an agency doesn't want to do something, they can passive aggressive.
But they wanted funding.
Dig in their heels.
Yeah, they wanted funding to do.
Yeah, well, they wanted a lot of things, but the
Yeah.
overall, and you could deal maybe with the specific issues.
Yeah.
But the overall message, maybe I'm mistaken, but the overall message was they didn't want to do this.
I felt the same. it was very clear. I agree with you. It was pretty clear to me they did not want to do that.
So I'm thinking, I mean, this is probably not the time to debate it, but I'm going to give a little thought to it over the weekend about some of the alternative mechanisms that you could use to get some things done in accordance with, we've identified some issues. And there are some other different ways to get that done so that you'll be able to have something to sink your teeth into and maybe enact into legislation next session. So I'll think about it and I'll share it with everybody before next week.
Yeah,
Why don't
before
you
Monday.
why don't you join us on Monday?
That's fine.
Well, just I'll ask Beth to send
Okay.
it to you.
And I'll send something out to everyone to just. I don't know.
Yeah, or your garden.
Yeah, well, I guess like pair of glasses like Michael's, and then I can garden while I'm.
Or you could come to
Doing
my
something.
house and
There you
garden
go.
and then join the meeting.
Side note, there's a gentleman in this building, not just me, that has the glasses. He saw me the other day and he pulled me off to the side. I think he's he's not a reporter, but he has the camera from Lindenville. And he does have one though, and he had the ring and everything.
Actually, it doesn't work for me, because what I do as I'm gardening, I'm thinking, so I like to think. Well,
You like to get to the root of the issue.
the root of it, and pull out the
Somebody
weed.
had to do
You gotta pull out.
Okay.
So wise.
Yeah, remember we're live. Okay, so we'll have something to bring back to
Doesn't have
you
video.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So that we can hopefully try to wrap that up this week too.
Then in education.
Yeah, and then 173 will get out as well. We don't have it in our schedule, but we'll put it on. Yeah, maybe Tuesday afternoon, we'll do as much 327 as we can, and then we'll see if we can make up this 173, and so we'll let you know if there's a vote on it.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
send
can
it.
zoom in for that.
Yeah. We do have some other reports that we should hear from. We haven't heard from Department of Labor yet on the state of the UI trust fund, which is a yearly thing that we have to do. Remember this. For those of you that are going to be here, every year you want to make sure you're hearing from Department of Labor on the trust fund. Make sure that we're keeping it healthy. Somebody else wanted to come and talk to. But there's some others that we'll hear stuff on. We should get some more reports. The things that are happening. Maybe we'll hear from the Department of Labor to how the UI upgrade is going, and if it's still planned on going live in the next couple of months, so stay tuned with that. Then hopefully we'll know more today on estimate 71 going with that as well. So we'll let you know where that actually.
Yeah.
So with that, I don't have anything. Does anybody have anything else to share? Everybody's been watching committees that they're shadowing and nothing new is going here.
Nothing's happening in environment. Nothing's happening at all.
Yeah.
You're right.
But I think we have,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just picking.
All right. I think we possibly have a path forward on some of the non-compete.
yeah. Oh, yeah, this is exciting. There's a couple
Which one?
pieces on the can I share? I can share.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's been open and
Yeah, it's all open, so I'll go over for, doing a walkthrough of the latest language at 11:30, but there's a labor bill that General Housing has from the Senate. And, we're working on adding a non-compete ban for, non-exempt employees, so hourly workers. And also a non-compete ban for healthcare providers. So we're looking at some updated language, so it would not, you wouldn't, if you, a contract with a healthcare provider, you wouldn't be able to have non-compete in that. Those two elements.
Is there a piece in there for non-solicitation too?
Um, yes, so there's also, there's a couple things, other elements. One, non-solicitation, you meaning for the
For the
healthcare
healthcare,
providers.
An exemption.
Yeah, I'll double check and make sure it's in there, but basically allowing them to do that notice.
Right.
And there's also some pieces from the healthcare bill about non-disparagement as well. So basically not allowing, so that you can talk about where you worked after.
So the limitation is on non-exempt employees, hourly employees.
Hourly,
right?
basically, a non-exempt
Right.
employee, which is
So-
most hourly
Was that up
workers.
to? What we had in the bill was, what was everyone?
What we had in the bill was 300%,
300%.
300% of minimum wage
Yeah.
plus some duty requirements. So it is much more limited. So it's just limited to non-exempt employees. So it's not, there's no specific salary cap.
Correct.
Because but there is a non-exempt employees, there is through the Fair Standards Labor Act, there are some limits in terms of how much you make, but
Okay.
it's defined based on exempt versus defined on the classification of non-exempt versus exempt employees. And so, yeah.
You know what? Sorry, Greg.
No.
You talked, Chris Delia.
I think Mark has, but I'll double check with Chris.
Sure.
So, limiting it to non-exempt, are the provisions that we passed out applicable to them, or they had changed those provisions as well? Is it just taking what we passed out of committee and then basically adding a further exemption?
No, it's just
Okay.
saying it's a much more simplified version of what we passed out of committee. So it's just saying non-competes are not allowed for non-exempt employees.
Oh,
And also non-competes are not allowed for healthcare providers.
correct. Yeah.
So those are pretty much the two pieces.
And then you define non-compete
Right.
the same way we define it?
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't we pull that back? Hey,
Yes, so
Oh.
we've taken some pieces of
Okay.
that and
I'm-
put it in this other bill.
okay,
So
okay.
just those
And-
sort of just,
Just another vehicle to move some of the thought that we had at 205.
Good issues never done.
Yeah.
Well, based on what you're saying, I think I can support it now. And because
great, yeah, because it's
just doing where my limit was before.
yeah, right. That's what you wanted was that
Right.
non-exempt versus exempt, right? And then the healthcare providers is really based on a sort of specific need as far as we want our healthcare providers to stay.
Do I mention the thing that shall not be mentioned?
It will not be an issue.
The sacred child.
No, it was like Voldemort. Do not mention the name that shall not be mentioned.
Thank you for following that.
Not
Yeah,
a
and I'll-
person, not
At
a
11:30, they're doing the next walkthrough, so I'll make sure.
Good.
And if anyone has any questions, let me know and I can, after the walkthrough, I can catch you up.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I have-
Last year.
I have nothing to add. I think we've done all the education things, so that's the committee that I'm following. That was today on the floor.
I mean, Human Services is doing they've been looking at the childcare licensure stuff that came from the Senate. And they've got some concerns about that, so we'll see what.
Healthcare.
Human Services. And so it's the licensure of, we would be the first country to do that,
To license childcare workers.
Right.
Yeah, I share a lot of their concerns about putting restrictions on a making it harder for workers to get into a field at a time where we have such low unemployment and, yeah.
I do
worry.
as well, and I worry about it, Vermont being the first state to do that as well. I'm not. Yes, so I think that from my understanding, talking with folks on the committee is they've got a lot of concerns about it.
The senators, you know, that I'm familiar with are concerned about being able to hire people, especially if the cost implication.
Yeah.
And plus the certain.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there is certifications. This is more licensure,
This is.
Yeah,
nice.
that's
This is
true, that's true.
licensure, yeah.
But that's higher.
but that's licensure for
Childcare
childcare
workers.
work and not a teacher.
Right.
Teacher
Teachers
has
already
to
have.
have their licensure.
Which is more money, which means that their employer needs to pay them more.
Which might restrict the number of folks you get.
Yeah, it-
Oh,
yeah,
How would it restrict?
I can see. I mean, there's some issues that we've heard lately with some childcare centers where workers have not been taking care of kids very well, but
Sure, absolutely.
still, that still is on the owner of the facility to make sure they're hiring people that are and oversight. They need to provide oversight to make sure that. So I don't think it automatically makes the system better for having them licensed.
Yes.
It's more that we should be looking at the oversight.
But I mean, yeah, I mean,
Of
look
the
at real estate.
centers.
Yeah.
In real estate, if you are, I mean, there's licensure to be a salesperson, but it very clearly states in statute that the broker that's over you is 100% responsible. If I screw up as a real
Yeah.
estate salesperson,
Right.
it's the broker
It's the
that's on the hook for it. And I don't see why we can't do the same thing here.
And also, to change the subject quickly, I missed this when I was reviewing the human services before, but they did do a walkthrough of S-198,
Yeah.
the tobacco bill. But they haven't, I would imagine they're getting more testimony next week. They just did the walkthrough.
Yeah, something I've been thinking about in that too, on the consumer protection side that we did. You know, we talked a little bit about, you know, should we be adding another investigator? But maybe what we need is more information to better understand what they're doing, and I think the changes that we made to allow the Attorney General's office to utilize the consumer protection law as well will really help. But the Attorney General's office needs those referrals from DLL. So maybe we should think about putting some type of report back from DLL on, you know, every year they should letting us know how many hours the investigators are working online to try to make sure that sales are taken care of and how many referrals go to the Attorney General's office, and then how many of those referrals has the Attorney General been able to provide well,
What's the final closure of that?
Yeah,
referral? What's that? How
have
does
we been
that?
able to, you know, stop them from operating in the state? You've been able, you know, what kind of fines have been levied? Or I don't think it's fines, I think it's administrative or any type of penalties that have been provided for those complaints. So
Yeah, I'd love a lot more data also from their tip line, how many tips they're getting, who's, you know,
yeah,
how long it takes to follow up on that.
who has the tip line? Does DLL have the tip line?
DLL said they had to.
Yeah, and I thought the Attorney General did too, but it was not clear.
Yeah. And then we should touch
I'm all
base
over that.
with Jen. See if we can get. I'll shoot her
An
an email,
amendment,
see
sure.
if she's available. And we can put an amendment, and we can ask Teresa to put it on, and we can put it on, so. Yeah, I thought that was the place that we missed. Everybody good with that?
Mhm.
All right. I got nothing else for you, trying to waste your time as much as possible before I let you go home, so.
Not even hungry yet.
Okay,
I got brownies.
I think we can go offline. We'll be back.